Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Kathleen Walls, and I am your host for Planners Knowledge Pop Up Podcast. So, for those of you who are just joining, you say, "What in the world is Planners Knowledge Pop Up Podcast?" It is a pop up because it depends on when the author has time to come on. So, it'll come on at different times throughout the week. But it is a podcast where we welcome authors and we interview them. We get to know about them, their author's journey, different genres. Um, Definitely make sure you have a pen and piece of paper or a notebook. Every time I interview someone, they are always dropping some valuable information, be it a website or a strategy, a tip. There's always something to learn. You're going to catch it right here in the moment, but also be sure to utilize the replay so you can pick up any pieces that maybe you want to flesh out further. If there is information for someone else that you know, someone who's interested in becoming an author, someone who's interested in becoming a publisher, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also share the information with them so that they can subscribe as well. All right, I'm super excited to bring this next guest up. It is so funny because our paths ended up crossing a week ago and we're looking at each other like, I know you, I know you. And then finally it clicked and it was like, yes, we're going to be talking to each other a week from now. So please help me welcome Stacey Woodson. Hello. How are you
Hello.
today?
I'm well. Happy Friday.
Oh, yes, definitely. So ready for it. I'm like, all right, what am I doing the rest of the day besides trying to figure out marketing plans for all of these books and to help people make sure they are getting some of these books a week from now, right? It's Black Friday next Friday. I can't
Oh
believe
my
we're already
gosh.
here.
Oh, I never that didn't really click.
That
Oh,
didn't click yet.
I knew Thanksgiving was next week, but I didn't really. Oh, okay.
Yes, it's real. Is here. And that's why when I met you at the Collingswood Book Festival, I was like, I want to get as many interviews with authors in before the holiday season so that people, it would give you all a chance to promote and that people would really consider buying some books for the holidays. And so when I met you and I saw your collection and you shared your story, I was like, okay, please, she got to get on here. And hopefully she can get on here before Thanksgiving to help maybe change the way in which some of the food is going to be consumed a week from now. So I think your timing is perfect.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. So let's introduce the audience to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am Stacey Woodson. I am a dietitian and nutritionist. I'm also a children's book author. And
Hmm.
I also go by the name of a food activist. So I wear
Okay.
hats in all of those different spaces, and I'm also a homeschool mom. My
Hmm.
books were inspired by my family, so they actually have my family illustrated into them.
Nice.
Um, and I am about to celebrate now. Actually, us talking about Thanksgiving reminds me that my first book, I'm about to have a book anniversary very soon. So it'll
Really?
be 3 years. Yeah, I published
Yay.
it right around. So my first book, the main character in the book is my daughter, and I
Uh-huh.
published it around her birthday. And she was
Okay.
born on Thanksgiving, so it changes. So she's about to have a
Wow.
birthday, and that means my book
Yes.
is about to have a birthday.
Yes. Congratulations. Well, you know you got to get a good tambourine. Congratulations. That's fantastic. All right. Well, tell us. I mean, we're going to get more into your author's journey, but what is this? We got to celebrate this birthday. What's the name of the book and what's it about?
So the first book, so it'll be 3 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's called The Princess of Picky Eating Tries New Foods. And they're all part of the Delicious and Nutritious series. So all my books are about food, nutrition, or growing food. So that
Mm-hmm.
was the first one. I also have uh maybe like a month later, I published a a different version of the same book. So I also have the book The Prince of Picky Eating Tries New Foods. So same exact book, just different lead character. And
Wow.
yeah, so this book is it's funny. It has a lot of alliterations. It has a lot of repeating phrases. But
Mm-hmm.
it's about a little girl who only eats foods that begin with the letter B,
That's
and she
hilarious.
refuses to try any other foods. And her favorite phrase whenever she's offered new foods is "No, thank you, not today, no way." But something does happen, and she tries new foods. So I won't tell you anymore. You got to read the book to find out what happens.
And that's the Princess of Picky Eating?
That's the Princess of Picky Eating tries new food.
I love it.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you what's so funny, and I hope she is listening and I just don't see her yet. So, one of my mentees, when I met her, goodness gracious, it's been 20 years ago. And we went out to eat for the first time. And I got something, and she's like, "Well, what does that taste like?" And so I was describing whatever it was. And I was like, "You've never had that?" And she said, "I don't eat anything I can't spell."
Mm.
And I said, so of course that set me down a list of foods where I was like, she's like, nope, never had it. Nope, never had it. So we spent a lot of time with her experimenting and trying new things. And so she stopped by the house the other day to bring me a whole bunch of vegetables. It was like a straight up garden in a box. And so I was like, did you? She's like, now you know I haven't eaten that yet. I can't spell that. I laughed so hard.
That is funny.
So picky eating. So now I know so many parents and guardians who are going, I've been there. I know what
Hmm.
that's like. How did you survive that? Or are you still in, is she still being a princess of picky eating?
And so she's definitely improved.
Okay.
I guess this gets in a little bit into my author journey, but I first came up with this idea when she was like 2 or 3. So she'd
Mm-hmm.
all my kids were great eaters in the beginning, and so she was eating, and then she's like 2 or 3, and all of a sudden she stops eating everything, like
Mm.
all the normal foods. Now, when you write a book, you have the liberty of using your creativity. So the only thing that she actually would eat was beans, and so it's a unique problem to have. um
Uh-huh.
but that's all she would eat, and till this day you could give her beans in a bowl and she'll be fine.
She there. You know what that means? Is she gonna be a world traveler? Because you know everybody eat beans around the world.
But I remember thinking, like, this is insane. I can't believe this
Hmm.
is happening to me. I have 2 whole degrees in nutrition,
Right.
and I just can't believe this. I was just like, I should write a book and help families with picky eating.
I love it.
But I didn't have the tools to help.
Hmm.
Like, I didn't know how to actually make a book. And now she's
Hmm.
about to have her 10th birthday. Remember, she's my Thanksgiving baby.
Yes.
So she's
Yes.
about to have her 10th birthday. So she was about 7 when I all the pieces fell into place of me figuring out
Okay.
how to actually take this idea that I had and put
Yes.
it into the form of a book.
Nice.
Um, but all that said, from 2 to 10, she's improved leaps and bounds, but she is still
Okay.
picky.
Okay.
um the princess part came around because when I happened to be writing the book, all she would do is walk around the house either in a tiara or a princess dress or both. So those are depicted in the illustrations, but actually the book is not about a princess at all. Other than that, that's the only thing that has to do with a princess.
I absolutely love it. Love it. So let's talk about this author's journey. So go ahead. So now when do you recall your first time writing?
Hmm. I mean, I know I definitely had to write in school. I do
Mhm.
remember, and actually I have to say, writing is not my favorite thing. And so
Okay.
all the people out there that are just like, I could never, I would have never imagined that I'd be an author.
Mhm.
I specifically enjoy sharing things that I think are important. But other than
Mhm.
that, I don't particularly want to write. So that's for
Mhm.
all those that you're just like, I can never write a book. It's impossible. That's
Yes.
not true. But the first thing that like would be memorable that I remember writing is I had a poem in high school that I'd like submitted for some type of contest.
Mhm.
And I actually came across that poem not too long ago. I would say in the last like 2 years, and I was like, this poem isn't bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, until I wrote this book, I did not really identify as a writer.
Okay. So what was it? What was it about this particular book where you just it wouldn't let you go? You had to do something with it.
I think it's because it's in my
Your
professional
field.
wheelhouse.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's about food, it's about nutrition.
Mhm.
And so I always tell people, even though the book is about a picky eater, I
Mhm.
weave in nutrition education. And I when I wrote it, I wanted it to be a almost like a teaching tool or a reference
Mhm.
for parents, caregivers, educators to start a discussion about nutrition, because I realize not everybody is a nutrition professional. And so
Mhm.
when I wrote it, I made sure that I was using words that might be new to children and some adults. And so
Yes.
like the word monounsaturated fatty acids is in there. But I bolded these terminologies.
Yes.
So if your child or your student asks you, what does that mean? You're just like, there's a glossary in the back, so
Fantastic.
it can start the conversation about nutrition.
Yes, that's fantastic. I did the same thing. I put a glossary in the back of all of my books, and that's because my background, I did it for a couple reasons. One, my background is that of an early childhood, elementary, and middle school teacher. And two, because I learned so many words when I was reading books growing up. And this way, I didn't always have to run to the dictionary. But then the third reason why I did it was because when I wrote my first book, The Greatest Soul Journey, back in 2009, one of the things that a tip that somebody gave me was if there's a glossary in the back of your book, a library is more likely to pick it up.
Hmm.
Right. Now, I don't know how true that is, but it stuck with me. And I said, no problem. I'll make sure all of my books going forward have a glossary in the back.
Good to
So,
know.
yeah.
I have it in some libraries, but I don't know if that was a selling point or not.
Got you. Got you. So I love your inspiration to people that, although, you might not deem yourself an author, but you have information that can be helpful, be it a story or something, as you were saying, in your wheelhouse, right? This is your
Right.
profession, and it's a way to introduce people to that and to new words. So tell us more. How did so now you have this concept. You said, okay, this is something I can relate to content wise. I'm a parent, I have a picky eater, I can help other people, but how do I take this information that I have here, that I have on the computer and notebooks, and turn it into a book?
Right. And so I believe I mentioned that I'm a homeschool mom,
Yes,
and
you did.
I have a few homeschool moms friends that are also children's book authors.
Mm,
And one of them published her first book a year before I did.
okay.
And she knew, I can't think of what you call it, but a goal that you talk about but you don't really think you're going to accomplish. That was always
Mm-hmm.
writing a book for me. I
Mm,
can't think of the terminology.
mm-hmm.
But anyway, that was always a book. Like I'm like, oh, I want to write a book. Oh, want to write a book, and I never thought I would. And so it happened. So my book was published in the middle of, well, I started working on it in the middle of 2020, so dead
Oh,
in the
wow.
pandemic. So all of my books are
Okay.
pandemic projects. And so my friend tagged me in a children's book masterclass on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And the masterclass was a 5-day masterclass. It was free. So, when I got the tag, I was like, I'll join. I'm not missing anything, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
losing any money. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
expect to actually attend.
Yes.
But I just happened to get an alert on my phone when day one was starting.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined in because I'm at home, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can actually do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got so excited. And from there, from the
Wow.
time that I took that master class, I had an actual book in my hand within like 3 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Go you.
Yeah. So I needed that direction, and once I had the
Yes.
direction, I knew how to do it. I'm very much one of those people that I'm an executor. I'm not
Yes.
necessarily, I don't always have the vision, but I can
Mhm.
execute once I know how to
Okay.
execute.
Okay.
And I also knew when I wrote that first book that I was going to have a series, because once
Mm.
again, this book is about one of my children, but I have three.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way I'm just going to be able to write one book and my other kids are going to be okay with that. So I knew right away it was going to be a series. I didn't know what the other books were going to be like
Yes.
about,
Yes.
but I knew they would be in the world of food and nutrition. And so
Okay.
the next year in 2021, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that right? I don't even know. They're all, going
They all
together at
start
this
to
point.
blend together. Yeah.
Yes, it would have been 2021. You know what? I don't even know because it's 2023 and I'm thinking it's 2022. But anyway, not 3 years ago, I wrote my second book.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I got the idea somewhere between the first book and the second book is, you know what? I should bring my kids in on the actual writing process. So the first book,
Oh.
although it features my family and I got them their input, I didn't actually
Mm-hmm.
ask them to help me write it. And so the second book is actually co-authored with my daughter, who is now 12,
Hmm.
but she was 10 at the time.
Uh-huh.
So we wrote that one together, and it has a beautiful handwritten letter from her, which I just love, because
Oh.
this book is called Grow, Eat, Repeat, a love letter to Black
Okay.
Eyed Peas. So it's,
How
yeah.
cute. Wait a minute, y'all. How cute is that title? That is adorable. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So this book is more of a heartwarming book. It's about a mom and daughter duo who spend a lot of time in the garden. And the
Mm-hmm.
little girl, who's named after my daughter, Paige, doesn't particularly like it, but she goes because that's her time to spend with her mom solo
Mm-hmm.
without her
Mm-hmm.
siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And so while they're there, they learn a lot about plants in general,
Okay.
but also they learn more about their family history,
Mm-hmm.
and they learn about the cultural relevance of Black Eyed Peas. And so
Hmm.
I love including her in this because the book is already about like
Yes.
generational stuff. And
Knowledge
so
and yeah.
exactly, and pulling from the past and bringing
Yes.
it forward.
The
Um,
Sankofa.
yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The principle of Sankofa. So I love everything about it, and I love that when she's an adult, she can look back on this handwritten letter and this thing that she crafted when she was a child, and be
That's
able to show
beautiful.
her grandchildren.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so nice. Oh, that is heartwarming. I know our audience is just like, oh my goodness, that just feels so good. And
yeah,
yeah, it feels good like some good black eyed peas in the winter. That
yeah,
warmth, you know.
yes, absolutely. Um, and then the third book in the series is I just released this summer, which
Hmm.
is kind of different. I still have one more book to do for my last child, my baby, my son,
Okay.
which I think I'm going to do that in 2024. I'm
Okay.
ready to write that. Um, but the one that I kept getting requests for, like my books are mainly for, I would say middle elementary, like
Okay.
second to fourth would be the sweet
Hmm.
spot. So I kept getting
Hmm.
requests for like pre-readers, and I was like, okay, what can I do for pre-readers? And
Hmm.
so I released the ABC book
Hmm.
called A is for Aki, Fruits and Vegetables from Around the World.
Yes.
And so it is an ABC book, and but all the fruits and vegetables are literally from around the world. I tell people
Hmm.
you probably know about half of them, and the other half will probably be brand new to you. And
Yes.
because they're brand new, um, I made sure that I put some fun stuff in the back. So kids that are older than pre-readers would also be able to learn. Adults would be able to learn. There's maps where these fruits and vegetables originally came from. There's
Oh,
fun
nice.
facts about each of the fruits and vegetables.
Hmm.
There is a key that says what they might be known as in other parts of the world.
That is
Because
so important.
yeah, I find that, the more you talk to people from around the world, you'll be talking about something, they'll be like, oh, I don't know what that is. And then they see it
Yes.
and they're like, oh, we call
That's
it
yes.
that. And
Yes.
so I wanted to be able to incorporate some of that. Obviously, I can't put every
Mm,
way that it's called, every fruit and vegetable, but I have like three ways that it might be called in other places. I have a way to
nice.
pronounce it if it's challenging.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
and then I have the part of the world it originally came from. So that one's fun
Ah,
as well.
look how important. And that one's called what again? The ABCs?
It's called A is for Aki,
A
fruits and
is for.
vegetables from around the world. And
Where
each
can people get your books?
so my books are available wherever books are sold, but I definitely
Mhm.
encourage people to get the books directly from me from my website. So that's my name, Stacey Stacey, Woodson Woodson.com. The direct link would just be staceywoodson.com /books, and it'll take you
Mhm.
directly to that.
Mhm.
Um, and so if you get it from my website, you always get a signed copy. And I have some other fun stuff that I usually put in there, like stickers and bookmarks. But you can get
Mhm.
them from anywhere. My books are available wherever books are sold.
Yeah, please make sure you get these books. These are incredible. I love, I think it was that A is for Aki book that really caught my attention. Yes, thank you. There it is. I love it. When I met you, I was like, yes, because so many times I've traveled and it's just like that puts me in the mind of such and such, but it has a different name. And even times where my husband will be talking, he's originally from St. Lucia, and he'll talk to someone from a different island, and they will be talking about the same thing, but it is called something different. And
Yeah.
so it's so important to have that information. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. So one of my purposes when I write the books, specifically books about like what I've been writing about nutrition, is one to make sure that new things are normalized. Because I
Mhm.
find specifically in communities of color, I often hear like Black people don't eat that,
Yep.
or like I don't want to try that. Well, that's because you think it's not
Mhm.
accessible to you. So the more that
Mhm.
you are exposed to these new things, the more that you feel like they're for you. Like the
Yes.
world is it belongs to all of us, right? And
Yes.
just because a food comes to a particular part of the world doesn't mean that we shouldn't try it at least once.
Exactly.
And so that's one of those things that I really want to bring to the forefront. I also don't want children to refer to foods that are unfamiliar as weird or like
Mhm.
be
Ew.
scared of them. Exactly. Like
Mhm.
it's not normal to you, but it is a normal food.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And the more you introduce the fact that there's fruits and vegetables and all kinds of foods that I don't know about, the less you
Yes.
think those things are odd.
Exactly. Exactly. I will tell you the one that it took me a little while to get over was soursop,
I love sour.
and I do love it now. But at first glance, it was not something that I was like, I'm not sure if I'm really willing to try that. But very look at see, look at
I
and
can't find the camera.
tamarind. There we go. There we go. Right there. Right there. Right there. Perfect.
Yes.
Yes. S is for sour sop, and T is for tamarind. Tamarind was another one I had to brave myself up because it does not look pleasing to my eye. And so I had to encourage myself to allow my taste buds to participate in them. And I do. I actually enjoy both of them. So it's funny they're right next to each other on the page.
Yes. I was in Colombia earlier this
Uh-huh.
month, and I have a new favorite fruit, which is they call it lulo, which
Okay.
reminds me flavor wise with a sour sop, and I just couldn't get enough. Like I was just lulo
Wow.
juice and lulo flavored whatever, and I was like, had I
Mm.
written this book a little bit later, that would definitely be my L.
Being there. So this means you'll have an update. So there'll be, you can keep going on and on and on. There'll be a whole bunch of different editions. That almost becomes a series in
Mm.
itself.
L
Mhm.
is for lulo.
Yes. I love it. So, all right. So we have the picky eating, we have the alphabet, and you said there's three. What's the third one?
The third one was the grow, eat, repeat.
The grow, eat, repeat. Right. Let's see.
Hmm.
Let's see book covers. So, do you have it in front of you?
Let's see here. Oh, and I also have each one of those has a activity book that goes with them.
Fantastic.
So this is the one that's co-authored with my daughter.
Yes.
So that's my
I love the
pagey.
illustrate. Where did you get your illustrations from?
So I got my illustrators, but I have two separate ones.
Okay.
They live across the world. So this illustrator, the one that always does the ones with my family in them, she is from. Her name is Mariana um, Natenko, and why is it escaping me right now? Oh my gosh, it'll come to me. I cannot think of the country. Oh my gosh,
It'll pop up when
it
it's
will.
supposed to. And how about the other one?
The other one, Ukraine.
Okay.
No,
That.
that is where Mariana's from. Is from Ukraine.
Okay.
Um, I want to say. The other one, now that will come to me.
Now
I
that
got
one was.
it.
How did you find them? Because I know a lot of, for me, I will say with The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, A Hip
Mm-hmm.
Hop Tale, it took me 12 years to find my illustrator for the very first book. I wrote that story in 2008 and I searched for illustrator. I asked like every artist I knew, and people would be like, "Oh, that's not my style of art," or "I don't know," or "I don't want to mess it up," or this or that. And then I ended up, my illustration team is actually from St. Lucia, so similar to
Mm.
you across the world, and we just communicate via usually, email and WhatsApp, and I tell them conceptually what I see in my head. I kind of give them a storyboard,
Mm-hmm.
and then they create it from there, and they add their flair, and we go back and forth. And I love the process. They send me their ideas, blend it with my ideas, and then boom,
Yeah.
finally there it is. So how did you find your team, your illustrators?
So I remember I took this children's book masterclass.
Mhm.
And I'll give a shout out to the woman who runs it, Crystal Swain Bates.
Okay.
And so she like pretty much laid it all out. Like if you follow her plan, it's no fail. And so
Mhm.
one of the places that she recommended looking for illustrators was a platform called Upworks.
Mm.
And she even provided us like a so with Upworks you can put a proposal out and people can
Mhm.
come to you looking um that are looking for work. So I said
Okay.
exactly what I wanted. I was like, I'm looking to for illustrator that is comfortable and has practice in drawing multicultural people.
Mhm.
I want somebody
Mhm.
that's willing to work on multiple projects with me because I
Mhm.
know I had multiple books.
That's
I
right.
want somebody where I own the rights to all these images. So I put
Mhm.
everything that I wanted
Mhm.
and I put my budget. And
Mhm.
so then people start commenting on this proposal.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking through all these illustrations. Now, mind you, I don't even know what type of art that I want. Like, so they're like, well, what kind of like style? I'm like, I don't know. I don't
Right.
know. Like, I'll just know when I see it. And so I'm looking through what ended up being my illustrator's portfolio, their online portfolio. And there was this art, this illustration. And I was just like, I was like, she can bring my vision to life.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Mm.
so funny because when I saw the book
Yes.
that piece is from, because they don't give you very much information, it's just part of
Yes.
their portfolio. I immediately knew when that book was released because it was released like right before mine was, so they must have
Mhm.
just been finishing up that project as I was contracting for them. And
Okay.
I messaged the author and I was just like, thank you so much. Because of your book, I realized that the illustrator was able to
Oh,
bring my
wow.
vision to life.
Yes.
And I ended up working with them.
Oh, how wonderful. Yeah, the illustrator, they make such a difference. I know in my first, like I didn't, well, I will say this. I didn't know it was going to be a series at first. And then when the title was The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, it was like, Cat, it doesn't say the adventure. It says
Hmm.
adventures. So this means that there's more coming inside of you. And it was when they sent back the illustration, and it was this picture right here.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, my mind was like, well, what's going on in the water? And what's going on behind the
Mm.
trees? And that's a whole world besides just his place to live. And it was in this picture that my mind went, and then the stories just started pouring out. And next thing I know, here I had four more stories, and then five, and then six. And it was the power of the illustrator. So I always
Yeah,
thank my illustration team for expanding my horizons.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So you have these three books. How have you been getting your books out into the public? We met at a festival, but
Hmm.
how else do people find out about your books?
Well, I do a fair amount of vending. So
Mhm.
not just book festivals. But so, pop-up markets and things like that.
Mhm.
I've done quite a few podcasts. Um, and I do, just reaching out to educators, asking people that I know
Mhm.
if their school has, the capacity to bring an author in.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know. I feel like I'm only 3 years in. I'm still learning. My newest goal is to really hit up school districts opposed to
Okay.
individual schools. I'm still
Mhm.
trying to flush out exactly how to make that happen. So
Mhm.
if you're a superintendent, if you're looking for
Mhm.
an author to come to your district, please let me know. Um, but those are the main things that I do right now. I love being an author. I've done a lot of programming at the libraries too,
Okay.
specifically the
Okay.
Philadelphia Library.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't just do stuff in the world of books. Like as a dietitian and nutritionist, I do a lot of speaking engagements. I do a lot of workshops, presentations. I see some clients, like I do a little bit of one-on-one work, not a
Okay.
ton.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do day to day, and just still trying to grow and get the word out about my books and my services.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I know a lot of times when people are looking for dietitians, nutritionists, and so forth. So as they're watching this, they may be saying, "Huh, is she available to do that?" So you do a little bit, but that's not your main focus.
No, it's
Okay.
not my main focus. Um, where I spend a lot of time, which I didn't specifically mention, is I do a lot, and I mentioned that I consider myself to be a food activist. I do a lot of
Yes.
work within gardens and growing
Okay.
food. And that's
Okay.
kind of the concept behind Grow, Eat, Repeat,
Mm-hmm.
um, is that if you grow it, right, then you're going to have seeds, you're going to eat it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just repeat
Mm-hmm.
the cycle over and over again. And
Mm-hmm.
you will never go hungry if you know how to grow your own food.
Yes.
And so that's a big part of my food activism, is making sure that people have access to
Mm-hmm.
these fruits and vegetables, because if they do, then we don't have to worry about, being
Yes.
able to afford purchasing them,
Yes.
or being in the middle of a food desert and not being able to get to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I talk about how I live in a row home, so I don't have not one blade of grass in my property, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of pots in the back. So as long
Mm-hmm.
as you have a window, you can grow
Yes.
food.
Yes. Yeah.
So
My
I do a lot of
husband,
work around that.
that's good. So my husband, his grandfather was a farmer.
Mm,
So he has brought that farming mentality to our home. I said, I think we were the only home in Philadelphia that had like a banana tree and a lemon tree and all types of stuff. And I'm like, is this thing going to really, create any fruit? Which it didn't, but it did bring the leaves, which was fine. Same thing with avocado, same thing. And, I'm like, I like flowers. And he's like, I only plant things we can eat. So, and we've had cucumbers, we've had squash, we've had zucchini, tomatoes, goodness gracious, strawberries,
mm-hmm.
what else? Of course, mint, basil, sage. Um, and I'm trying to think what else. I know he's probably listening right now, like, you forgot this. But we have a lime tree right now.
Ooh.
Yes. So he really he does an incredible job with planting, and you can taste the difference.
Mm, yeah.
It's amazing. You really can. So now how did you get into food? How did you know that this was going to be your passion, your interest?
I fell into it, to be perfectly honest. I had always had an interest in health and wellness,
Mhm.
but for many, many, many years, I wanted to be a physician.
Hmm.
I wanted to be a physician so long that when I told people I decided I wasn't going to med school, everybody, like, their chin just dropped.
Mhm.
And I was actually interviewing for medical school when I made that decision.
Okay.
So my original degree is in biology. I did worked at a University of Penn as a lab
Mhm.
tech for a little bit, and then started interviewing. And somewhere along the line, I read this article about nutrition, um, and about calories. And I'd
Mhm.
never really considered much about like the quantity of food that I was eating. Like I'd always
Mm.
eaten well, but I never
Mhm.
cared about like how much. I just ate
Mhm.
whatever I wanted.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I was just like, wow, um, like the concept of energy, it really blew my mind. And so I started paying attention to how much I was eating.
Mhm.
And when I did that, I started losing a significant amount of weight. I do also have to say, I was working at the University of Pennsylvania and parking was terrible. So I just decided that I was no longer going to try to drive and find parking. I was just going to walk. So I also walk at least 2 miles every day.
Okay.
Okay. So between those two changes,
Yeah.
I just started dropping weight.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize my weight loss was significant until people started coming up to me because that was never my intent. And they'd be like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, like what are you doing? I can't believe this!" Like da 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 da. And I
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, I'm onto something." So as a physician, what I wanted to do was I wanted to help people improve their health. And the
Look at
more I
that.
looked into this as a career, because
Yes.
I didn't even know being a dietitian was a career, the more I
Mhm.
realized that, well, I'm actually still doing the same things, right?
Mhm.
Especially
Mhm.
because a lot of the top five medical issues in this country have nutrition roots. And so I
Yes.
decided to go this route because one, it was cheaper, and two, it was
Mhm.
shorter.
Mhm.
And I know personally about myself that I'm very driven,
Yes.
and I would make sure that I did well in medical school, and that
Mhm.
might have been at my health's expense, staying
Mm.
up late, not eating the right
Mhm.
diet.
Mhm.
And so I was like, you
Mhm.
know what, I'm gonna go this route first.
Okay.
And in my real thought, what kind of confirmed it, I was just like, because um medical school will always be there,
Yep.
but my youth and
Yeah.
my money won't. If I don't like this route, I can always go back to medical school.
Always can go back. That's right.
And I fell in love with it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's incredible.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's interesting as you were talking. I remember there were clients that I used to see, and we would walk during our sessions, and so it was about six clients, and I wasn't even thinking about it. You figure each session is an hour. That's 6 hours a week that I was walking, and similar, I had no idea. And next thing I know, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror as I was walking out the door. And I was like, what is wrong with my pants? Why do they look like that? I hadn't even realized that I had released so much weight. And I'm going, I hadn't really changed because at this point I was a strict vegan. So I ate well, but it was the additional exercise piece. So, with that being said, are there any books about kids and calories and exercise and the blend of that coming up for you?
No, I will say the further that I get into this work, obviously the
Mhm.
amount of food that we eat um, matters.
Mhm.
Like overeating is clearly can be problematic, but the more that I
Mhm.
get into work, focusing on calories, it it often can promote disordered eating. And
Mhm.
so I, especially with kids, I want to stay away from that. Like with
Yeah.
kids, we want to listen to our bodies. We want to eat when we're hungry. We want to stop eating
Mhm.
when we're full. So
Mhm.
I don't want to write about calories, but I
Mhm.
definitely have some fun books. So my next book, and this is why I've been hesitating so much, because now that I have these books that I think are amazing, right? And people have
Yes.
told me that are amazing. I was like, I have
Yes.
to do as good a job or better for future works, right? So I'm just like kind
Mhm.
of sweating. So I know what I want to do for my son. It's gonna be another funny book. So my daughter's
Okay.
was funny. The next daughter's was heartwarming.
Yes.
A's for Aki. I feel like it's kind of neutral, very educational.
Uh-huh.
But this one is funny, and I was like, I gotta get it right. So
Mhm.
his book is coming, and the only thing that I'll share is it's about vegetables.
Okay.
Okay, about eating vegetables, but
All
it'll be a
right,
funny
y'all.
one.
Mhm.
And I've also started thinking about I love food as medicine. I've
Mhm.
dabbled with, and I don't, I'm still playing around with it in my mind, but writing a book about like herbal medicines for kids
Mm.
or
Wow, that's neat.
foraging or something like that.
Yes, yes. Oh, that'll be neat. That's like as soon as you said it, I had like this little adventure series in my head with the foraging piece. Very cool. So, are your books are obviously available in print. What other
hmm
formats can people purchase them?
So they are available in print and hardcover and paperback, and they're
Mm-hmm.
available in ebook form.
Okay.
Um, and I'm exploring audiobooks.
I was
That's like
gonna
on my
ask.
to-do list.
Okay.
Not quite yet, but I'm
Uh-huh.
exploring that. And I'm really excited because the original books, which I didn't show, so the first, The Princess and the
Come.
Prince.
Yep. There we go. There we go. Right there. Right there.
So these
Yes.
two, I'm in the process of having them translated. So I have got the translated manuscript. I just need to get it typeset
Nice.
into Spanish. And
Fantastic.
next year I will do French.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the teacher in me says yes, do the audiobook. I made sure all of my books similarly were in print, were in ebook, but also an audio book because of the different learning styles. And you know this being a homeschool person, right? All of the different learning styles and meeting those needs. I also do it because I think about when a parent or loved one gets tired of reading the same book over and over again,
Mm.
right? I'll do it for you. Just put me on play and, and I'll repeat the story as many times. The other reason why I do it is to teach inflection, timing, and pacing.
So you just sold me, because that
Okay.
was like I it's something that had been on my to-do list. But as a mom, not even a homeschool mom, one of our favorite things is to listen to audiobooks on long car rides. So
Mm-hmm.
we're
Yep.
listening to chapter books, and so it's just like, my book takes like 10 minutes to read. I don't know that it's worth it. Like, who's gonna listen to it? But you're right. When you have a favorite book, and as a parent, and you are like, I cannot read that book one more time.
That's right.
I cannot do it. Those are wonderful points.
Do it
Okay.
for your peers.
It's
There you go.
I'm on it.
The other thing is too, so I have different characters in my book, and I have friends who like to do voiceovers. And so it was an
Mm.
opportunity to hire them and give them an opportunity to do something that they love to do. And so that became a lot of fun for us to go into the studio. We also do it in our home studio as well, but it was also another excuse for us to hang out with each other. It
Right.
became a very enjoyable process. So it's a lot of fun, and I do the digital audiobooks with the illustrations also,
Mm.
and it creates another income stream. So we have a
Right.
right? So you can either upload them onto YouTube if you want. I do that, but then I also upload them onto our Vimeo channel, and then people are able to either rent them or buy them.
I'm gonna have to chat with you about
The,
this.
uh-huh. So yeah, so there's all types of opportunities. So what else? What are some others? How have you been feeling about marketing your books? I know with a lot of times authors that becomes frustrating and or promoting, self-promoting on social media platforms. What's that part of the journey been like for you?
Um, it's still work in progress. I would
Hmm.
say that is the thing that I like least
Hmm.
about being an entrepreneur, period. Um, and it's definitely been challenging. And at this point in time, creating a book, writing a book, old hat. So
Hmm.
whenever somebody says that they're interested in writing a book, the first thing I said, you absolutely should do it. Everybody has a story.
Yes.
The second part is, I always say, it's not hard. It is challenging to write a book, right?
Yes.
Getting all the moving pieces together.
Yes.
So you can do it, but the true hard part is the marketing.
Yes.
And going into it knowing what is your vision for this book, because sometimes people just want to
Hmm.
write a book, they want to create
Hmm.
it, and they want it to be in the world, and they're not trying to move lots and lots of copies.
Yes.
And then that's fine. Create
Yes.
this book, you have it, it's a family heirloom. But if you're
Hmm.
trying to write books to create income,
Yes.
you need a strong marketing plan. And I
Yes.
didn't know that. And
Yes.
I'm just like, I have the book out it, now
Right,
buy it.
right.
And you have the initial rush of like your friends and family like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And you come out the
The
blocks
gate,
and
yes,
selling a couple hundred books if you're lucky, which
yes,
I did, and you're like, this is great. And now you've exhausted your network
yes,
and everybody already has your book. And you're just
yes.
like, oh no, what do I do now?
And you scream at Oprah, buy my book.
Yes. So yeah, at this point in time, one of the things that is my marketing strategy is to publish more books. I realize that
Mm,
not every book that I have is going to relate to everyone, but
mhm,
the more that I
mhm,
have, there'll be something
mhm.
for you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's where I'm going now. I even have some books that I'm creating that are not necessarily on brand for me, and so
Okay.
you won't necessarily see those in my catalog.
Yes.
They might be under a pen name,
Okay.
just to
Ooh.
not take away from what I'm doing
Yes. Yes.
with my brand.
Yes.
But yeah, I definitely have a lot of things that I'd like to explore, different formats of
Mhm.
book, different languages,
Mhm.
kind of repurposing these things that I've already created, because I also
Mhm.
want to put more effort into speaking engagements and
Okay.
working on an online course. And
Okay.
those things would be primarily targeted to adults.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you said that. And a couple of the other authors who I've spoken with, some of them I said we're going to have to do a Planners Knowledge After Dark show
Mm.
because their genre is as a so who was it? SK Kabah said it is adult romance. I said, well, who was that? I said, Leah described hers as smut. She was like, okay, yeah, that's really what I wanted to say. So, it was like- and so, but SK was saying that she has one particular genre which she's been writing in, but she's interested in exploring the paranormal. And
Mm.
she was like, I never thought that I would, but I am. And so don't be surprised if in the next year or 5 years you see something from me which has quote unquote kind of deviated from what you know me for, but has expanded me as an author. And I think that's so important. I know for myself, I have my self help books, my Greatest Soul Journey, Live by the Spirit, Volume One, because the intent is to have multiple volumes, versus my children's book series slash adult children's book series, The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, which those stories go on forever until. But I didn't want to, as some of the authors were saying, right? You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one particular lane.
Yeah.
So that's good to hear. So, all right. So you have the books, you have the activity books. Are
Mm-hmm.
there also coloring books, or is that part of the activities in the
It's part
activity
of the
book?
activity books. Yeah. So
Okay.
the books that feature my family, they have activities and coloring pages in them. And then the A is for Aki, since it's for the younger market. It's just a coloring book.
Okay. And are there any? I was speaking with Amelia Griggs the other day in her series, and she has recipes in her books, in her children's books.
So I don't have recipes in my children's book, but I have the boy version of the activity book. I
Oh.
did. And once again, I'm not going to tell you guys how this
Hmm.
resolves, but I would say it felt like we needed some recipes to some of the things that we've discussed.
Aha.
So this one
Look
does
at
have
that.
um, some recipes.
Fantastic. Now, how much do your books retail for?
So the activity books
Hmm.
across the series, they're all 8, and then
Okay.
the paperbacks are 15. Their hardcover versions are 22.
Hmm. Okay. That's good. A lot of times, as I explain to people, that the paperbacks can be less than the hardback because to produce them, the hardbacks
Mm,
are very expensive.
yeah.
And so the price just has to go up in order for there to be some sort of profit. I know with mine, I think I was trying to do like a 20 something, and the company came back and they were like, you have to sell it at 30 to get
Mm,
some sort of profit. And I'm going, who's going to buy this book for $30? And then I had to release that. I
Yeah.
don't control how people spend their money. It's a quality product. And I also know hardback is important because I know that children are hard on books. So we have to make sure that we have something that's durable
Right.
as well. So, what events do you have coming up that you're participating in? If people want to come buy a book in person or they just want to come meet you, where do they need to go?
So, first I'll tell you where you can find me virtually. So
Okay.
virtually, I am going to be hosting a book donation for classrooms. So if you would
Oh,
like to donate a book, like you might be watching and you're just like, I would love to buy a book, but I have no children around, please reach out. I will be making sure that 2 classrooms each get set up with a book per person, and I'm going to donate a virtual offer visit.
I
Um,
love it.
for that classroom. So that's what I'll be doing next. If you follow me on anything, you'll start seeing that hitting very soon. Because now that you reminded me, Black Friday is next week. Like, okay, get that together. Get that together. Get that message out. Um, and then the next event that I have, like vending opportunity, would be December 2nd. I'm participating in an event at Bartram Gardens in Southwest Philadelphia
Oh,
called
yeah.
Handmade Holidays. I
Okay.
am doing that. Um, and I'm actually looking for a few more. Oh, and I will be at the New Jersey Association of Librarians. It's a
Okay.
conference in Atlantic City,
Okay.
and I will be there vending and speaking on December 4th. And then I'm looking
Fantastic.
for a few other things to vend. I have some conflicts on some of the events that I wanted to do with
Okay.
family stuff.
Yeah,
So if you know of anything, let me know.
I
But other
sure
than that,
will.
I think I'm going to take some downtime,
Hmm.
enjoy the holidays, and really
Good.
promote things online.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Do you ever do any online reads?
I have absolutely done online reads.
Okay. Okay. All right, y'all heard it from her. So be sure I have put her website in the chat room. I will also link it after it goes up onto YouTube. I'll make sure that your links are in the description as well. As you mentioned, the preference is for people to buy the books directly through you, and you will get an autographed copy of the book should you do that. And the best way for them to contact you is how?
You can contact me via social media, but the most efficient way to contact me would be via email, which is Stacey, my name, Stacey, at staceywoodson.com.
Okay. And can they get that from off of the website also under in the contact section?
Yes, yeah. There's a
Perfect.
form. You can just fill out the form and it'll get sent to me.
Okay. Perfect. So
Absolutely.
definitely be sure to reach out. She has wonderful books. Hold the books up again so people can see them. So we have the Picky Prince, the Princess of Picky
Typically,
Eating,
book,
the Prince of
losing books.
yeah.
I'm just like, ah. Oh, I
A
already have
is for
one ready.
Aki. We have all type
Ah.
other way. There we go, right there. Grow, eat, repeat. We
Yeah.
have Stacy has a number of fantastic books for you, for your family, for your loved ones. As she mentioned, you can also purchase a book and donate them, and I do that as well. I often encourage people when they're just like, here's some money, here's some books, and I had the opportunity to send what was it, about 30 books over to Uganda in the
Mm.
summertime. And it was amazing to see 400 and some kids standing around saying, "Thank you, Auntie Kat," and holding up the
Ah.
book. I know. I was like, it was so good. And to, when you write the books, you have no idea how far they're going to go. You don't know whose lives you're going to impact. And as I'm thinking about you, and you're saying, like, I didn't even know a dietitian and a nutrition, right? That was something that you could do. And now here you've written so many books and you have even more to write. And here's your picture and your name, and now a profession that a lot of people didn't even know existed that they now do because of you.
Right.
And so, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for the books that you write and helping to keep all of us healthy and on point. So thank you
Yes.
so much.
You are quite welcome. And I forgot to say one other thing. It's not about the books, but I do have a. I just relaunched my monthly webinars,
Oh, do
um,
tell.
and so these are just topics that I get on for about an hour. I try to be really respectful of people's time, and I talk about things that matter. And so I
Hmm.
definitely invite individuals to follow me to make sure that they can attend the um, webinars. I actually had my one for the month last night. It was
Oh,
so much
wow.
fun. And it was all about how soul food really can provide us with nutrients. We hear so many negative things about it. We explored
Hmm.
some of the positive things of soul food
Oh,
and told
good.
people, how to manage some of these things better come
Yes.
next week.
Yes. And
Yeah,
where can
so I
people catch the replay? Is it possible?
um so right now I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
This is all working out to come get put into my online course.
Oh, yes. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
you're there live, you get the information for $0.
There we go. There we go. And how do people sign up so that they don't miss the next one?
They absolutely can go to my website, and I have a section for join my mailing list, and they can get put on
Okay.
the mailing list. But they are on the second Thursdays of each month,
Okay.
unless there's a conflict with, and then you would know
Got
at
you.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it. Be sure to get on her website. The link is right there in the chat. Be sure to join, follow her on social media. What are your social media handles and what social media are you on?
So I'm on all of them, but I have to say social media is not my favorite. But my new social media handle that's just about nutrition is Nutrition by Stacey, and that's Stacey with an
Okay.
EY.
Okay.
And then my Instagram, and this is Instagram. Although I have Nutrition by Stacey on TikTok as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on LinkedIn just by my name. And then on Instagram, my original Instagram handle is mothering
Mm-hmm.
while melanated. So
Mm-hmm.
Melanated. And that one
Mm-hmm.
is a mix of my life. So you're gonna see a lot of professional stuff, but you'll also see my kids and some of the cool stuff we do there as well. So whatever tickles your
Fantastic.
boat.
Okay. All right, y'all. Be sure to follow her. And again, grab a book for yourself. I'm a firm believer that adults love children's books. That's why
Absolutely.
I'm the self-proclaimed number one adult children's book author throughout the multiverse. I'm claiming all spaces. So because that inner child is very much alive in us, and we love the books also. So get some books for yourself, get some books for your loved ones, donate some books. Um, Thank you, Stacey. That's what I can say right now. Thank you. I love your work. I'm excited for you and everything else that you're going to produce. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for
You're
having me.
welcome. You are welcome. All right, y'all. Until we meet again, continue to live your greatest life. All right. God bless. See you soon, everybody. Bye.